In this video, I'm going to be ranking the top 5 cards at each position in NBA 2K23. My team, so the top 5 point guards, the top 5 shooting guards, top 5 small forwards, top 5 power forwards, and the top 5 centers right now in the game. And you guys can let me know in the comment section down below, who are your guys' top 5 point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, and centers. Let me know in the comment section down below and what you guys would change about my top 5. So not necessarily ranked in order. I guess I will do it in order per position. So my best point guard in the game is going to be the the Dark Matter Jimmy Butler. I just feel like his defense is one of the best defenders in the game at the point guard spot, and overall on the offensive end, I still feel like he's not a bad offensive card. But yeah, defensively, I mean, this card's a monster. 92 block, 98 steal, 98 perimeter, 94 interior defense, with tons and tons of good Hall of Fame defensive badges. And then offensively, like I said, he's not that bad. He's got the Trae Young escape, his jump shot's pretty decent, MJ dribble style. The Jimmy Butler size up I don't think is that great. It's not terrible like Scottie Pippen, Rudy Gay, Brandon Ingram have it, so it can't be that bad of a size up. But I think all around for me, Jimmy Butler is the best point guard in the game. At the number 2 spot, this is where stuff just goes. You could really say 4, 5, 6, 7 different names for the second best point guard in the game. For me personally, I know this is a big disagreement with a lot of people. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, but I'm going, if I could spell this right, if I could spell this right, Evan, I'm going Lonzo Ball. I know people are going to disagree with me. I'm sharing to you guys my top 5 power forward, or top 5 point guards in the game, or top 5 cards at each position. So that's why I'm saying, let me know in the comment section down below, who are your guys' top 5 point guards and at every single, position in the game. For me, I like this Lonzo Ball card. I think he's super elite on the defensive end, and he is just a shorter Jimmy Butler with maybe not that good of a wingspan. I mean, like Jimmy Butler has a 6'9" wingspan. I do believe. Let me quickly check. I think he has a 6'9" wingspan, 6'8" wingspan. So he's just a little bit shorter than a Jimmy Butler, and he's going to give you the same defense. Might just be a tad bit worse on the offensive end. So for me, I'm putting Lonzo Ball at the number 2 spot. My third best point guard in the game is going to be the Galaxy Sengun. I think he's super underrated at the point guard position. I used to think he was the best point guard in the game, even over Jimmy Butler. But now that I've seen a lot more Jimmy Butler in game, played against him, and even used him, and now I do think Jimmy is the best point guard in the game, where I do think Sengun is number 3, just because he's 6'10" with a 7'2" wingspan. I think he's basically just a better Ben Simmons, or a better basically just a better Ben Simmons, a card who's 6'10", plays really good defense, but this card's got much better dribble stakes than Ben. He's got that Trae Young escape, which is really nice, and he also does have a very solid jump shot on very quick timing. So those are my top 3 point guards in the game. After this, it gets a little bit crazy. I'm gonna say Scottie Barnes. I know this is not biased, because these are my top 5 point guards. It's biased in the sense that it is my top 5 point guards, not saying this is what I think the community thinks. But for me, I really like Scottie Barnes. I do think he's better than Magic. I think he's better than Ben, and I also think he's better than LaMelo Ball as well. I think he's just another kind of Jimmy Butler type of card, where he's going to give you such good defense, being 6'8" at point guard with a 7'2" wingspan. I mean, these defensive stats are crazy, like 94 block, 96 steal, 95 perimeter, 93 interior defense. He's got Hall of Fame clamps, anchor, challenger, glove, menace. I mean, this card is just an absolute beast on defense, and then does have a very capable jump shot and some really good dribble sigs for the Scottie Barnes card. He's got the Steve Francis size up, one of the best size, or is the best size up in the game, and one of the best dribble sigs, and then also does have the John Wall escape, one of the best escapes in the game. So for me, I'm going Scottie Barnes at the number 4 spot. And then for number 5, I mean, it really just comes down to preference. There's cards like LaMelo Ball. He's a really good option and maybe the guy I go with. There's obviously the Ben Simmons, the Magic Johnson, not Ben Wallace, the Ben Simmons and the Magic Johnson cards, who have been the top 2-3 point guards in the game since they came out. There's the Luke Waltons. I mean, he's really good at the point guard spot, and there's probably some names I'm even missing that could be considered a top 5 point guard. But for me, I'm going Ben Simmons over LaMelo Ball. I just value so much of defense. I mean, you guys can probably tell from my top 5. I value defense at the point guard position. I think Ben Simmons is going to be all around a better point guard than LaMelo Ball. I just don't like that LaMelo Ball card as much as I thought I used to when I actually was using him and seeing him a lot in games. I just don't think he's that amazing. I mean, he's still a very good card, but I would take Ben Simmons, Scottie Barnes, Sengun, Lonzo, and Jimmy Butler even over a guy like a LaMelo Ball. Now, Magic's a close debate. Luke Walton's a close debate, and so is LaMelo, because LaMelo is still a very good point guard. But these are going to be my top 5 point guards in the game. Ranked from Jimmy is the best, Lonzo second best, Sengun third best, Scottie 4, and then Ben Simmons number 5. Now going over to the shooting guards, I think this list is going to be a lot more simple. I don't even need to explain number 1. We're just going to move on. Number 2, I do think is Kobe Bryant. I think that's somewhat of a close debate between number 2 and number 3. My number 3 is going to be Clyde Drexler. I think number 1, like I said, is T-Mac. It's just obvious. He's like the best card in the game. One of the more, not I would say easier cards to use, but he's just so overpowered that if you know what you're doing with this card, he is so glitchy. And then I think for number 2 and number 3, I really like this Clyde Drexler card. I think he's very underrated at the shooting guard position. Just his ability to slash to the basket and dunk over everybody is super underrated, and he's got a capable jump shot and some decent dribble sakes with the Steph Curry escape. So for me personally, I'm going Kobe at number 2 and Clyde Drexler at number 3. My number 4 is going to be Billy Knight. Like I said, I think the 1 through 4 for me personally at the shooting guard position, I think is very obvious. This is easily what I would do for the top 4 shooting guards. Now for number 5, there's cards like Grant Hill. He's a very good option. There's cards like Scottie Pippen, another really good card at the 2 spot. But for me, I'm actually going to go Vince Carter at the shooting guard position. I thought it was Grant Hill. If you guys watch my shooting guard tier list, I thought it was Grant Hill because I put in my S tier over Vince Carter. But now that I think about it, I think Vince Carter is better at the shooting guard position. I think Grant Hill is still the better card than Vince Carter because he can play small forward. He's 6'8" and a very good defender. I think as a card, Grant Hill is still probably a little bit better than Vince, but at the shooting guard position, I would take Vince Carter over Grant Hill because as you guys can see, most shooting guards in the game need to be able to handle the ball and be your main scorer. Guys like T-Mac, Kobe, Vince, Clyde are all most likely going to be your main ball handlers, and that's why at the point guard position, all of these guys I like defense to pair alongside my offensive shooting guard. And then guys, for the top 5 small forwards in the game, I think it is pretty obvious for the top 4 guys, kind of like the shooting guard position, at least in my opinion. Like point guard, you could really flip this around. Like you could go Jimmy at 4, you could go Lonzo 1, Ben Simmons 2. Like you could really, mix and match the point guard top 5 and even top 10. But for me personally, I think the shooting guard and the shooting guard in the small forward position is not obvious because all these cards can be ranked in different orders, but I do think like the top 4 guys in the game are going to be Jonathan Bender number 1, Bill Russell number 2, and then the 2 newest RNG cards, Purvis Ellison and Danny Ferry. This is how I do my top 4, and I think that's pretty obvious for me personally. Now, if you want to rank them in different orders, I think that's perfectly fine. If you want to put Bill number 1, you want to put Purvis number 2, you want to maybe put Ferry 2, Purvis 4, maybe even Ferry 1, Bender 2. Like you can do whatever you want for this order. For me personally though, I would go Bill Russell at 2, Bender at 1, Purvis Ellison at 3, and then Danny Ferry at 4. I think Jonathan Bender is just an absolute demigod at the small forward position, being 7 foot with some really good dribble sakes and a very good jump shot. Bill Russell is the best defender in the game. That's why he's number 2. Purvis Ellison, a very good all-around card, probably the most complete small forward in the game. And then Danny Ferry is just an offensive beast, a guy that you can really run your offense through, probably the only good small forward in the game that you can use as a primary ball handler, and he can be your main scorer. But for that last spot, for the fifth and final spot, I'll just throw some names out there. Mike Bantam, really good card. LeBron James, I mean, it's LeBron. He's just going to play so well in game. He could be a top 5 small forward. Jonathan Isaac, an absolute defensive monster, 6'11", plays really good defense and does have a good jump shot. You could even say Tim Thomas, just because if you know how to use his card SIGs and you're still really good with his jump shot, like a guy like Nike, if you guys watch Twitch, he's an absolute beast with Tim Thomas and he still runs him on his squad. I personally still use him at the backup 3, and if you know how to run him, he can be a top 5 small forward. But for me, in my personal opinion, I'm going Mike Bantam at the number 5 spot. I think he's a really complete small forward, has a really good jump shot, and is just a super complete small forward in the game. Now, talking about the top 5 power forwards, I think once again, the top 4 guys are pretty obvious. Kareem at number 1, Taco Fall at number 2. That could be debated. I know some people do have Taco at number 1. For me though, I think Kareem is more of a complete card. He's got the speed, he's got the defense, he's got the athleticism, he's super tall, great wingspan. Taco's just an absolute cheese ball, being 7'6" at power forward. Now for the number 3 and the number 4, it does get a little bit close. I think at the power forward position, I like D-Rob over Kristaps Porzingis because Porzingis will be at the number 4 spot. I think that is a very close debate. I would say 1 and 2 is pretty obvious. 3 and 4 between Kristaps and D-Rob. You could really flip-flop that however you want. I just personally like Kristaps more at the center position. He's a really good stretch 5. He plays really good defense, and like I said, has a great jump shot. D-Rob is more of like the defensive guy, the guy that's going to maybe not rebound the ball better, but just be a little bit more athletic. I think he's quicker in game as well. So for me personally, I'm taking D-Rob at the power forward spot over Kristaps. And then for that final 5th spot, I mean, I was thinking Shaq, but I think at the power forward position, he's just not going to be that great, only having a 63 ball and that super baited release. He might be a top 5 center in the game, but I don't think he's going to be in my top 5 power forwards. Talking about Giannis, I mean, it's Giannis just like LeBron. He's one of the more glitchy cards in the game, just plays so much better than his stats and badges do show because it is Giannis. He gets some of the craziest animations in the game, but the card I decided on was actually the Galaxyable Kevin Garnett. I think Anthony Davis is not bad, Moses Malone, Greg Oden. There's a lot of good power forwards in the game, but I do think Kevin Garnett is going to be the 5th best power forward just because of his jump shot and all around plays really good defense in game, 97 block, 90 steal, 95 perimeter, 90 interior defense, and I just think all around is the 5th best power forward. Really good speed, great jump shot, good dribble saves, can finish around the basket, and then obviously does have 15 Hall of Fame badges. Those are going to be my top 5 power forwards. Kareem at 1, Taco at 2, D-Rob at 3, Kristaps at 4, and then KG at 5. Now talking about the last position in the game, which is my top 5 centers, just like the shooting guard position, I mean, Yao Ming is number 1. Don't think that's even a question. Easily is the most broken and glitchy card in the game. Him and Taco are kind of on that same level when we're talking about broken and glitchy cards, but Yao Ming is definitely the best center in the game. For number 2, I actually do think it's still Kareem. I think just because of his defense, I like defense a little bit more in the game than offense at this time, at this stage of the year. So I feel like for me personally, I'll put Kareem at number 2 and then put Porzingis at number 3 and then D-Rob at number 5. So kind of flip-flopping it at the center position compared to power forward. I think D-Rob is a better power forward than Kristaps, but I do think Kristaps is the better center just because he's a little bit taller, has that better jump shot in my opinion, and he's more of a stretch 5, a guy that can kind of contain the Kareems and play some solid defense against the Yao Ming and the Taco Fall, where D-Rob is going to get mashed like crazy, where Kristaps I feel like has a little bit better of a chance, and then he also does have 87 speed, so he's a little bit slower than D-Rob, and that's why I think D-Rob is better at power forward. And then to round off the top 5, I'm just gonna put Shaq because of his dominance. I know his 3-ball isn't great, but who else is there in the center in the game? Evan Mobley, Pink Diamond D-Rob, Dino, Jokic, like who are we putting at the 5? Mark Eden. So I think for me it's got to be Shaq. There's just not that many good centers in the game. I don't think the Shaq card is like incredibly good, but I just think you got to put him at the number 5 spot because there's really no other centers to work with. He's still a very good defender. He's like the fastest center in the game. He just runs around everybody. Super athletic, super dominant down low, can definitely post up. It's just he's got a 63 ball, no shooting badges, and a very wonky jump shot. So for me personally, this is going to be my top 5 centers, and this is going to be my top 5 power forwards. Just if you guys want to pause the video and look at the cards or whatever, top 5 small forwards, top 5 shooting guards, and then the top 5 point guards in the game. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about my rankings? And let me know your guys' favorite cards at each position, or just let me know your guys' top 5 point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, and centers in the game. But hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.